The person who triggers you the most in your closest relationships is not triggering the adult you are today. They are triggering the child you once were, the one who never got what they needed, who learned that love was conditional, that safety was temporary, or that their feelings were too much. And that child is still inside you, still running patterns that made perfect sense at 7 years old, still trying to protect you from pain that happened decades ago. The problem is that those protection strategies, the ones that kept you safe as a child, are the exact same strategies that are destroying your most important relationships as an adult. In this video, you are going to understand why your childhood experiences are still writing the script of your adult relationships, how to recognize the specific patterns your unhealed inner child is creating right now, and what to actually do to change them. Not by going back, but by finally giving that child what it needed all along. The first thing you need to understand is that childhood does not end when you grow up. It ends when you process it. And most adults never have. What happens instead is that the emotional experiences of childhood, especially the painful ones, the ones that went unanswered, the ones that left a child feeling unsafe, invisible, or unworthy of love, get stored in the nervous system as patterns, not as memories you can consciously access and examine with logic, as automatic responses that activate before you have a chance to think. When you were raised in an environment where love was inconsistent, your nervous system learned to stay on constant alert for signs of rejection. When you were raised in an environment where expressing emotions was dangerous or ignored, your nervous system learned to suppress and shut down. When you were raised in an environment where you never knew what to expect, your nervous system learned that people are simultaneously the source of comfort and the source of danger. These learnings are not stored in your conscious memory. They are encoded in the way your body reacts when someone you love pulls away, raises their voice, or simply does not respond the way you needed them to. Developmental science has identified 4 main patterns that emerge from these early experiences, and they show up with remarkable consistency in adult relationships. The first pattern is the adult who lives in a state of constant alert in relationships. They cannot simply be in a relationship. They are constantly monitoring their partner's tone of voice, the response time of a message, the facial expression during a conversation. Any ambiguous signal is interpreted as a threat. Any distance is experienced as imminent abandonment. This adult typically grew up with caregivers who were emotionally unpredictable, sometimes present and warm, sometimes absent and cold. And their nervous system learned that the only way to stay safe was to never let their guard down. The second pattern is the adult who shuts down exactly when intimacy deepens. They function well on the surface of relationships, but when someone starts to get truly close, when real vulnerability becomes possible, something inside them pulls back. They become busier, more distant, more rational, and less emotional. This adult typically grew up in an environment where their emotional needs were consistently ignored, minimized, or treated as inconvenient, and their nervous system learned that needing someone is dangerous. The third pattern is the most complex and the most painful. The adult who simultaneously craves intimacy and fears it, who enters relationships with total intensity and then sabotages exactly when things start going well, who tests partners, provokes crises, and then wonders why relationships never last. This adult often grew up in an environment where the people who were supposed to provide safety were the same ones who caused fear. And their nervous system got stuck in an impossible circuit where love and danger are the same thing. And the fourth pattern, the most common and the most invisible, is the adult who seems completely functional in relationships until something triggers them, who is fine, and then suddenly reacts in a way that even they cannot explain. A disproportionate rage, a crying that seems to come from nowhere, a silence that lasts days without them really knowing why. This adult is experiencing what psychologists call an emotional flashback. Not a visual memory of something that happened, but a sudden reactivation of the wounded child's emotional state, triggered by something in the present that unconsciously echoed a pattern from the past. Think for a moment about the most common cycle that appears in adult relationships with unhealed childhood wounds. One partner feels insecure and seeks connection, more intensely, more urgently, with more emotionality. The other partner, feeling the pressure of that pursuit, withdraws, needs space, shuts down, becomes less available. The withdrawal of the second confirms the deepest fear of the first, that they will be abandoned. The intensity of the first confirms the deepest fear of the second, that they will be engulfed. Each is doing exactly what their nervous system learned to do when it feels threatened. Neither is wrong. Both are wounded. And without understanding the mechanism, they will repeat this cycle indefinitely, in this relationship or in the next, because the pattern travels with the person, not with the partner. You can change partners 10 times and bring the same dance to every new relationship, because the music you are dancing to was composed long before you had any choice about it. So what actually changes these patterns? The research points to 3 processes that work not because they are easy, but because they go to the root. The first is making sense of your story, not to relive it or to blame your parents, but to build a coherent and honest narrative of what happened, how it affected you, and how it connects to what you do today. Studies show that the strongest predictor of healthy relationships is not having had a good childhood. It is having made sense of the childhood you had. There is an enormous difference between saying, "My mother was like this," and understanding, "My mother was like this, that taught me this, and that learning shows up in my relationships in this way." The second thing is what psychology calls a corrective emotional experience. A relationship, whether with a therapist, a partner, or a deep friend, in which the old patterns are activated but responded to differently from what the child experienced. When you expect abandonment and the person stays. When you expect criticism and the person offers curiosity. When you shut down and the person waits with patience. These experiences do not erase the old pattern, but they build a new one alongside it. And with repetition, the new one begins to become the default. And the third process, the one fewest people know about and the most transformative, is working directly with the body. Because attachment patterns are not just in your stories and your beliefs. They are in your nervous system. In the way your chest tightens when someone pulls away. In the way your throat closes when you need to ask for something. In the way your body freezes or explodes before your mind has processed what is happening. Therapeutic approaches that work directly with the nervous system, somatic therapy, EMDR, breathwork, can reach and begin to shift what conversation alone cannot, because these patterns were encoded before you had words to describe them. If you made it to the end of this video and recognized yourself in any of these patterns, in the constant alertness, in the shutting down, in the cycle that keeps repeating, that recognition is not a reason for shame. It is a reason for profound compassion, for the child who did the best they could with what they had, and for the adult who has been carrying that child's strategies into a world that no longer requires them. The inner child does not need to be fixed. It needs to be seen, understood, and finally given what it has been waiting for. Not from a partner, not from a parent, but from you. Start today with a single question. Whose emotional response am I having right now? The adult I am, or the child I was? That question, asked with honesty and compassion, is the beginning of everything. Share this video with someone who keeps repeating the same patterns and cannot understand why, because sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is show them where the pattern began. Subscribe to continue, because the next video goes deep into anxiety is not the enemy, the skill nobody taught you that changes everything about how you show up in every relationship you have. See you there.